Hey guys, welcome back to my channel once again. And after a very long time, I am back with another podcast with another great mentor, CA Anshu ma'am. And recently, I've also collaborated with her for the test series program. And you might have heard this name from me again and again in my reels and in my posts. So, just to sum up her life in through the LinkedIn post, through the LinkedIn bio that she has provided all to the public. She is a professional educator, tutor, mentor, and she has 7 years and above education experience. Also, 12,000 hours of teaching. Oh my God, I have such a huge guest today. So, tell us about yourself, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, Ruchi. Thanks a lot. First of all, thanks for this podcast. And though it's my first podcast of my life, so I am excited to have this. But yes, just to impart whatever I can best to the students. So I'm CA and CMA, Anshu Budia. I recently qualified USCMA, in fact,
Wow.
and I had carry a 12 plus years of my working experience.
Okay.
And if I say my teaching experience, it's around 7 years plus. So if I just add it a bit, I started from corporates and I moved into teaching. The only reason was, I mean, I love to teach, so now it is more than my hobby. It is my passion, it is my career, and I just want the best for the students so that they are able to deliver the best.
Wow, we actually need passionate tutors in ACCA. We are currently looking for that so desperately, especially when it comes to ACCA and not CA. So, first of all, thank you so much, ma'am. I know how busy you are with your teaching and webinars and everything, and still you actually came up and agreed on this particular thing. And before we actually begin upon the podcast, this is a disclaimer for all the viewers that this is not a promotional video. I am not promoting her ki go and take classes from her. It's just for an interactive purpose, for a promote, not for a promotional at all. So our today's topic is how to pass tax paper. Tax paper is a huge subject for me, especially even I was a student. I don't used to like tax at all, tax and PM. So the first question to you is introduction to the tax paper. Now, when it comes to students and they are coming to skill level and they are actually giving tax in their attempts, so what do you actually expect them to know that this is the least thing they should know? Will it be a theory paper? Will it be consisting of calculations? So how a student should introduce to a tax?
Okay. First of all, when you tell me about when you ask me about introduction, if I talk about Indian students, if I talk about Indian students, first thing that I want to have, in them when they're going for the UK tax is to have their mind blank.
Okay.
Wipe out, flush out all those that we have studied and read in Indian taxes. The
Yeah.
reason being, Indian taxes and UK taxes, they're not matching anywhere. So, the more we carry our Indian taxes behind with us, we are not able to match better with the UK taxes. And then we have confusions. Oh, in Indian taxes, we used to do it this way. In UK taxes, we are doing it this way. Why? So I have students who ask me logic for all this. So first and the foremost thing that I say is tax is something that sometimes is not logical, because
Yeah.
for that we have to ask HMRC why they, created those rules and regulations.
Right.
But yes, if I have to summarize and say what kind of a paper is tax, it is not a theory paper at all. It is a paper which requires a lot of calculations like tax liabilities, taxable incomes, and the other thing. And when some students, say that it's a theory question, some questions that they get,
Yeah.
practically it is not a theory question. It is just an application of what you have understood in the rules and regulations, and the question just wants you to highlight few points of those questions, those areas. Okay, so in totally it's a very interesting subject. It just requires calculation. You understand the concept and
Right.
you go into the calculation. So for me it is very interesting.
Okay, I'll tell you my experience too here, just to add on. Actually, I was doing it with Bcom honors. So one side I was actually doing Indian tax, and on other side I was doing UK
Like
tax.
I said.
It was such a huge task for me. I'm like,
Yes.
what am I doing? I used to sometimes write even UK tax in Indian paper.
I understand. I understand. I have students,
Hmm.
those who have done CA inter, they have done CA inter and then they're joining the ACCA program. So then they have these things where it takes time for them to understand, that yes, UK tax is different than Indian tax. So the first day of my lecture only, I say, people, whatever you know about Indian taxes, forget it. I just want you to start from scratch so that whatever I feed in about in UK taxes, you are able to retain that in your head. Okay, that is more needed.
Exactly. That is a blank slate is always better than a, erasing and then
Yes,
writing it.
for the mentor also, it's better.
It's yeah. And just a follow-up question on this particular question only. Actually, when I actually got into the tax, I followed sometimes a rule book approach that this is the rule and this needs to be followed because this is something cannot be changed. So over the period of time, you actually need to remember those rules. And over the period of like 2 months, after 2 months, it becomes sort of mechanic that this is the step, 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 step. So, do you think an extent of cramming is also required in tax, or it is just logical, or like we say in audit that yes, to some extent we require cramming, and we mentors always say that yes, you need cramming. So, what about the tax paper?
I believe for us to cram for 3 months a paper like this, which
Hmm.
is not theory based,
Hmm.
which is all questions based, it's difficult. So, what I say to my students always and to everyone out here, what I want to convey is people don't think that it's a cramming subject, first of all, and leave the thought that it's a rule book that is to be compulsory followed. When we do sessions, there are things which are logically connected also. So, if you connect one link, you would be able to connect the other links. For example, now if I talk about, a tax reducer, for example, I talk about tax enhancers.
Yeah.
See, the terminology is tax reducers, tax enhancers. The moment I know it's a tax reducer, all tax reducers will be treated in the same way.
Same way.
All tax enhancers will be treated in the same way with the same rates. Okay,
Right.
so starting, I believe, understand the things logically. Okay, go step by step, understand the flow of things, how they are flowing. Suppose if I have to calculate a simple thing like calculate a taxable income, I
Right.
should know the steps that first I have to add all the heads of income, make it a total. Then I would reduce my qualifying interest and the other things. Then I would get my net income. Then I would reduce my PA. Now, do you need to memorize the PA? No, just look when the more questions that you practice, these things will automatically come in your flow chain. What is actually needed to be crammed in taxes is you have to cram those penalty points. That is, what are the penalty rates? Interest rates are easier. You have to cram those the due dates. Okay,
Right.
so again, you have to cram those due dates as well. So only these two areas I always tell the students that you have to cram. But again, I additionally say, if I can just add on, suppose
Yeah.
if you're doing a section C question, okay,
Hmm.
section C are those the bigger questions, that are marked by the examiner, that is manually checked, in fact,
Yes.
right? Wherein you have to write those answers.
Hmm.
If you create a habit of writing section C questions on your own, when I say writing means you're not solving the question, just the other part of the question which requires you to write, no, mention the due dates
Yeah.
and those 2 marks theory per kind of a question that you call. So those 2 3 marks question, if you solve along with your daily routine questions,
Hmm.
then that would also be somewhere stick in your back of the head. You would know that out of the 20 due dates that I have to study, 10 already I'm familiar with because I've done a lot of questions on it. So this is my personal opinion to everyone. The more you mug up, the more you will get blank in your exam. Because if you forget things, you will lose that chain. And once you lose one part of the chain, the other part just gets lost, and then you forget things. And then you become blank, you panic, and all these things arises.
Right. Exactly. And here plays the role of a great tutor, I must say, who can actually explain you that particular flow of answer. That is why I always tell students that do not stick to one teacher for all the subject. Go and explore because each teacher is
Of
expert
course.
in their areas. So
Correct.
that's And also the exam pressure. You may know 100% before a day of exam, but you may forget simplest thing on exam day. That pressure is intense. No matter I today give paper or I give 2 years back, I'll be in the same pressure on exam
I
day.
have faced that. I gave the CMA exam just
Yeah.
2 months back,
Yeah.
and that I appeared for maybe after, I think, 12 years or 13 years. So
Right.
I felt the same exam pressure. But then to keep myself cool, now when we're
Yeah.
talking about the exam pressure, I believe this is such an important area, that whether it's tax, whether it's any subject. So
Yeah.
I believe maintaining of that exam pressure is very important. So the first and the foremost thing that I said to myself was, it's okay if you don't clear. It's okay, relax.
Yeah.
The moment I said that, I felt lighter, that it's fine not to clear then.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Exactly.
because when you feel lighter, my brain runs faster and quicker. Okay, and you are able to, because that pressure goes away. Because the more you think, no, what my friends will say, what my peers will say, what my parents will say, and what will I tell to my manager that, look, I appeared for this exam and I have not cleared.
I know. Actually, I'll just quickly share my experience though. I actually sat for AAA exam, and there was a mom who actually was sitting for the third time. So I was like, don't, are you not scared? You are appearing for the fourth time for the same paper. So she told me a very nice word, Ruchi. Whenever I study for the next attempt, I always get to know new things. So I'm even thankful that I actually got to know new things whenever I go and read new America. Oh my God, such a positive
That's good.
attitude.
That's
But yeah,
that's true. I mean,
I always
I
remember
think that's
those
a very good thing that she has said, that once, if the student fails anywhere, please don't take it as a failure. Please take it as a learning experience,
learning experience.
because learning experience will help you grow. Failure will take you back step.
That step. I completely agree. And you will actually enjoy those failures too when you will grow that, dude, I passed such easy.
Yes, I understand. Then posting on the LinkedIn would be more interesting.
Okay, now we have distracted too much from the podcast.